Okay, money. When it comes to money and happiness, I can tell you right from based off. Yeah, I'm only talking from experience here, dude. You can make so much money, at least for your standards. It's crazy. You can make so much money and still be miserable. Like I saw a double in what I've made in my life. Like I was making double, you know, and it's so crazy. I love the money part of it, but I hated the job so bad that money wouldn't make no difference. And I think sometimes it's easy because when we think money, normally I won't say everybody. I just say the people, us people who watch social media. I feel like when we see money, we tend to associate it. Like when we think more making more money, we associate it with a bigger house, a better looking car, um, just being able to take care of everything in your life, right? But I think because that stuff is like tangible, you can touch it. If you can't quite afford something like that, then you kind of have to like the job you have, right? And so you think more money, you, you never you think more money, but you think it's just going to make your life better just because you're making more money. But I can say that if you really hate the job that you're at, no matter how much money you're making from that job, it's going to make you completely miserable. It's going to make it very hard for you to want to live your life to your fullest. You're just gonna just whole time just be. For me, man, it just made it felt like there was like a hole burning in my head. I've just because I just felt so like empty. That show Severance. I haven't finished it yet because I can't stand the one person. I'm sure y'all know who I'm talking about, but I'm just gonna spoil it. So if you haven't seen the show, that sucks. But so Severance, I can't stand the redhead because that part it just makes it's just a big plot hole. But outside of that, don't you ever think about Severance? I wouldn't want to go to a job I have no idea what I'm doing. I want to know what I'm doing, but it'd be nice if you could just turn your brain off. And I felt like before when I used to go to work, that's kind of how it was for me. It was just kind of like I would just get so fried. It was like turning my brain off. Like I remember going into work. The next thing I know, I'm off work. That's how it always felt. It felt like I could feel all the feelings that I was feeling. Like none of that stuff disappeared, but it was still part of my. Um, it just felt like a blur. I remember I already told you the story about how how much I used to get fried, but I used to do that kind of stuff to escape too, and I did it so much that there's like a year or two of my life it felt like a blur. Like I remember going out and doing certain things, but only like really strong memories. I guess it's just how life gets as you get older, but at the same time, it just sucks. That just means like no matter how much you make, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you it again, and I'll probably label the video this. But I miss being a janitor sometimes. The thing about being a janitor is, this is what it all ties into. I was a janitor. Okay, I was a janitor. Sorry, I was looking at something. I was a janitor, and dude, I was as happy as I could ever be, making really little money. And I remember this dude walking up to me, right? And he asked me, like, he was asking me about other stuff, and he's like trying to get my name, who I am, what I'm doing. And every day I'm just kind of like, man, I'm just chilling, bro. I'm just chilling, living life. Ain't nothing too crazy. Glad to be making a little bit of bread, put some bread on the table. This is where I didn't really have any aspirations either. Like, I didn't really want to be a rich, 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 rich man. I was happy where I was. I was like, if I can do this job, we make bread together, I can live this for a few years. That was cool. I'm not saying don't ever aspire to do more, but just hear me out. So I'm doing this job, right? I'm doing this job, and so this guy was asking me, he's like, "Do you want to be more with your life? Don't you want to be more than a janitor?" And I remember being so hurt by that. I'm like, dude, I'm like, as happy as it's just, it was driving me. Excuse my language, but here it comes. It was like I'm finally at a good spot in my life, and of course, somebody's got to come fuck it up right now. I was making enough money where I could have took care of everything and saved money. And it's just like, but because you think I should be more, you gotta come fuck up my vibe. And this is why I try my best. That's why I try my very best not to ever say anything to anybody, no matter where they work. I never say, "Don't you want to be more than a burger flipper? Don't you want to do more? Don't you want to do more than cleaning people's houses?" It's like, I don't know. Maybe they're happy as hell. It's like I said, I was making so much money. It was crazy. And I was so miserable. Like one of the worst listen, I'm a big man. I'm a strong man. I'm masculine. But I cried. Oh man. But yeah, I cried. One day I was going into work and I was just sitting there. I'm just waiting. It just out of nowhere, man. Like my eyes just started tearing up, and I wasn't even like sad, sad. I was just kind of like taking my breath for the day. You know how it is. You take a breath, you go, whoos. So I go, and just was about to just start blasting crying, but it's like I gotta go to work. So that is it is a horrible feeling. Cause it's nothing like, man, I got so much money, but I want, you know what I want to do with this money? I want to buy drugs. Like I want to buy drugs and just stop it all. You know what I mean? And that's how you get stuck. I think I've talked about this. But that's how you get stuck with when you're making so much money. It's just like I'm not sure what it's called, but it's called like something where you make just enough to be stuck. You don't make enough to be able to save anything substantial, like to where you could just stop. You make just enough to where if you went a couple months without pay, you'd be all right because you can save up at least that much with this job and easily pay your bills. But because of that, when you get yourself stuck into a certain position, because only certain kind of jobs pay for that. You know, whether you're like an engineer or even if you're a lawyer. Imagine if you're a lawyer or a nurse or something. There's only so much you can do if you don't like your job no more. If you're a nurse and you don't want to be a nurse, you're fucked. Because first of all, yes, there's a lot of different things you can do as a nurse, but that will require you to move a lot of the times. Or you have to pray that you live in a big enough city where the hospitals always have another position open and they'll just take on anybody. But if you get into nursing and you find out you really, really hate it, whatever you're doing, whether that's you hate the smell of the hospital, it's like, let's say it's that bad. It's not even just the job because you can do a bunch of different jobs. It's the smell of the hospital. It's looking at the tile. It's the sitting down on that computer. When all that starts to get to you, then you're screwed because it's like, damn, where am I going to go where I can make $80,000 entry in a city like this? Because not all nursing jobs pay that much. But let's just say you work at a very good, you're in a big city, they pay the nurses well. You're like, where else am I going to go to make $80,000 if I don't want to be a nurse? So that's where you get stuck. It's like, my only option is to stick with what I got a degree in. That's what it is like being a lawyer. Like, imagine your whole life you want to be a lawyer. You get to your lawyer, you're doing it, and after 5 years, you're like, damn, bro, I can't do it. And now you're like, what job am I going to get that's going to be paying me this much coming out the gate? What am I going to do? Where am I going to go? I'm a lawyer. And I know it's so easy for you to say, oh, well, if you're a lawyer or if you're a nurse, you have so many other skills that translate. The fucking recruiters don't see it that way. Jobs don't see it that way. When they're trying to get a butt in a seat or a butt, and they're trying to get somebody in the position, they do not care if you were a nurse. They're not going to be like, oh, those skills will transfer. No, they're going to be looking for somebody who already has somewhat of a resemblance of something in there. Oh, you got your license in this. This is what we're going to use you for. So they're gonna look at your nursing shit and they be like, nah, no, not even gonna look at it. You know what I mean? Same thing with the lawyer. Be like, you're a lawyer, but this is not that job. You know what I'm saying? This is because think about it. If you're making 90,000, 80,000 coming out the gate, that might be a top pay for certain jobs. If you're like, oh man, I want to be in HR, and you're asking for that 80,000, they're not gonna say yes to that. They're gonna be like, hell no. The only way you get paid like that is if you've been in HR for 7 to 10 years. That's the only way we're going to pay you $89,000 to be HR at this specific company. That's what I'm saying. So what do you have to do? You have to like cut back. You have to go from making 80 a year or 70 a year. You have to go from that to 30. You know how big of a lifestyle change that is? To go from, and now if you were living on, let's say you were making 80,000 and you were living off 30 of that. You were living very feeble. Now you can't even do that because now you really are making 30,000. So yeah, you can maintain your lifestyle, but it can never stop again. You don't get that luxury, and you can't go no bigger than this, no matter what you want to do. That's a bad feeling, you know. To be like, because when you're living like if you're living like you make 30,000, but you're making double that, then when you need to move or something goes wrong with the house, or see you're like, you know what, I'm not feeling this city no more. I want to move somewhere. You can do that because you probably saved up enough money and you put aside traveling. You put aside traveling. I've had a headache this week. This is pain reliever. I just noticed it popped up in front of the screen. Um, you think to yourself, man, now I can't move because I don't make so much bread. And when you're making a job like that, you're normally having to work there. Just saying. And another thing, why money can hurt sometimes. If you're a remote worker, guess what? It's gonna be super hard for you to get another job in something you like. Once again, you can be a PRN for a nurse. You could probably do a paralegal kind of stuff remotely. Just fine. You could probably do some attorney stuff on the work. A little company will hire you just to give law advice. I'm sure of that. However, if you want to get into another section, if you want to move over into insurance, you want to move into underwriting, you want to move into just customer service and period, you want to work in sales, well, guess what? Those jobs aren't going to want you because you ain't got the experience and you want to be remote. That's, fellas, is why the job market is butt right now. That is the situation I just laid out for you and how it is. People are saying, no, I'm not working this job for the next 20 years. I don't care how much it pays. And so they're trying to find other jobs and they can't get them because they have a specific set of skills in another area. And that's how people like me or people like you here who are plumbers or electricians or welders and you want to do something else, that's where we're all getting bitten in the ass. Okay, well, obviously, some of those jobs you have to be present for, but I'm just naming certain positions. That's where you get bitten in the ass. It's very hard to go from being a welder to going straight to a plumber, where they hire you on the spot. Especially if, like I said, you want to go to a white collar job. Nah, bruh. Nah, bruh. All right. Okay, so this is the first stream of the night. I'll be back later. I just wanted to get a nice little warm up, sober down. I'm gonna eat my last meal for the night, and I'll be back.